Going from the diet side, let's go to the lifestyle side. I mainly want to touch upon three aspects: sleep, stress, and alcohol. So, what is your take on all this?
Yeah, alcohol, let's start. It's the easiest, okay? I totally, I am in total agreement that not a single drop of alcohol has any place in your lifestyle. Having said that, in my practice, I have a simple rule, okay? I am not here to babysit you, okay? But I am here to tell you at what dosage, if you drink, how often, binge drink, give you all the scenarios as to what happens with alcohol for you to take an informed decision. Okay. My second rule I have in my program is if I find you negotiating with me for alcohol more often than not, and it's very easy to come to know in a consult or in a meeting or two, I normally revoke the consultation because then you have bigger problems. You first need a de-addiction solution. Okay. So alcohol has no place. If it is far and few, better. If you think it is becoming a problem for you, it's most likely a problem the minute you start thinking. So keep it out. But yeah, if you're somebody who's once in a while having a drink, you're enjoying like let's say you're enjoying a glass of wine with some chicken or whatever steak, or which I also do once in a while, fine. Okay, so that's on alcohol. It's very important to know that alcohol obviously is unhealthy. I think the other two aspects are stress and sleep, which in my mind are alcohol. Actually, awareness is there. People don't put it into practice in many cases. People don't understand the stress and sleep is because we are today, let's come to stress. We are in such a high stressful environment that sometimes people don't even register how much stress they are in. It is this constant fight or flight kind of mode that they are in because just the life has become so crazy. And you will realize this if you're in cities like Bombay and all of that. The train feels stressful. Getting to work is stressful. Leaving from work is stressful. The potholes are stressful. The traffic jam is stressful. The job is stressful. So now with stress, unfortunately, there is no formula, right? So I tell people, or even myself, this is what I do: figure something, and there are many things you can do. You need to choose what works for you. Okay, so figure something that will on a day-to-day basis or a weekly basis de-stress. Okay, meditation, if it is your go-to, great. I'll be very honest, it doesn't work for me. It doesn't. Okay. Walking works for me outdoors, like long walk outdoor when I see greenery, when I see the wind hit my face, when I'm just walking, that works. So if that is walking, if some yoga breath work techniques work for you, like that yoga nidra that they call it, which is I think they call it voluntary relaxation or pranayama, that works very well. Do that. Okay, if it is listening to sleep stories or something on the Headspace app or the Calm app, the point is you have to consciously work at that stress. Okay, and I think also certain practices, if you understand that until you're alive, you're going to have stress. So let it not get the better of you. Do the best you can and then close it away. Okay.
And
One very important technique that I have learned for stress. I don't know if men do it, but I think women do it a lot. When we hit the bed, right? That's when we think of what all needs to be done tomorrow. Okay. So, oh, I have to go to the gym at this time. I have to take my pet here for this appointment. Tomorrow's menu is this. Tomorrow my work is this. I have this. What actually it does is it creates that hyper environment when you're supposed to sleep, and it delays sleep initiation. So what I have realized is before I even get into the bedroom for bedtime, when I take down my notebook or whatever and I put a thing to do list for the next day, when I hit the bed, then I don't think about it. It's a small tip that works. A lot of us otherwise do it. So these are a few things, but I'm happy to hear what do you guys do about stress with your clients, because this is a tough one.
All right. So I think we are all aligned on this one. The biggest thing is not to use food as a de-stressor.
Ah, absolutely. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
everybody goes, like even we, when we are super stressed, we feel like grabbing something and eating.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's the thing, you know. You have to. This takes time. If you're a stress eater, na, it takes slightly longer.
Right.
Because that is a very strong dopamine hit, which happens
Right.
almost instantly, unlike anything else. So
So
that stress eating takes a lot of practice, and even I have a lot of clients who admit to stress eating, but I tell them that, you know, the more times you say no, the next time it becomes easier.
so do you recommend people getting cortisol tested or something, or is it just you talk to the people and figure it out?
No, I talk to people. I have actually very rarely seen clinical levels of cortisol rise.
Right.
It is more it is a more temperamental reaction. So when people say I have a stress belly and I have a stress whatever, na, that I have in clinical conditions, I have seen cortisol levels being high in very few cases. I've seen it in shift workers, for example, or people in very, very high, really high pressure jobs, like when when they manage manufacturing units and high performance delivery. Only in them I have seen cortisol, but I have not seen clinical levels of high cortisol in many people.
Right. Kunal, you want to add something?
Yeah, I think the important parts of stress are stress eating, which they've mentioned, and high stress jobs, night shift work, all these kind of
Yeah,
things are the go-to things. And I think relationship problems also, right?
yeah.
They cause a lot of stress. People don't realize that. So it's a very complex subject, as you mentioned.
Very, very complex. It's very complex. And unfortunately, like I said, I cannot give you this formula to do that will work for you. And also because it doesn't show feedback very quickly. Okay. It's not like today, if I walk for 1 hour, I will somehow see the effect of it. It's not like that. It's a practice you build. So it's a very tricky one.
Yeah, it goes into mindset and all, mindset
Yeah,
coaching and stuff like that.
yeah. Mindset also, you know, I'll give you a small example. Last week I did a check-in call with one of the clients who's pretty morbidly obese and been obese all her life, and she sent me text saying, Sangeeta, I don't think I can do this, I'm not cut out for it. I said, let's get on a call. At the minute I said hello, I said, what happened, why are you giving up? So she started crying. I said, okay. I let her cry a bit and I said, don't give up, tell me what's going on. And what I realized is, you know, the family is not very supportive of her trying again. So within 2 weeks of she starting the program, they started making a lot of insensitive comments like, oh, you're ready to give another donation. Oh, this is a new person now, you know. Oh, which is what, how many attempts are you going to make? You know, tumse to hoga hi nahi. Imagine sometimes if your own family provides, you're in this kind of an environment, stress becomes very difficult to handle. Yeah, emotional stress. So stress is a tricky one. To find the right support and all of that becomes very difficult.
Yeah, family support is very much needed in all these health transformations. And if family is not with you, I don't think anyone can really.
Yeah, there have been so many instances where either one spouse or the partner has said, when I see deviations, they'll be like, the guy or the woman or the lady or whoever bought ice cream over the weekend, Sangeeta. So I feel quite sad when, you know, when you don't have the support. At least in the initial days, you need that support.
Absolutely.